Imagine two people applying for the exact same job, same industry, same number of years of experience. They even worked at similar companies. The first person, let's call him Marcus, sits down to write his resume and types exactly what he did. He attended meetings, he helped a team launch a product, he supported a project that went pretty well. Honest, clear, real. The second person, let's call her Dana, sits down and writes spearheaded cross-functional product launch resulting in 40% user engagement increase, drove strategic alignment across stakeholder groups. Same job. Dana did the same things Marcus did, maybe even less. But Dana gets the interview. Marcus doesn't even get a callback. And here's the part that should make you uncomfortable. Dana didn't lie. Not exactly. She just learned to speak a language that Marcus didn't know existed, a language the system invented, a language designed not to describe reality but to survive a 15-second scan. And if you've ever sat down to write a resume and felt like you were being asked to become a different, shinier version of yourself, you weren't imagining it. That's exactly what's happening. What's up, everyone? It's Soluna. Welcome back to Soluna versus the System, the channel where we pull back the curtain on the rules nobody explains to you, your money, your career, and the games the system plays that most people never even realize they're in. Today, we're talking about something that affects literally every single person who has ever looked for a job, the resume. Specifically, why it's built on fiction, why the system demands that fiction from you, and what you actually need to understand to stop losing the game without knowing why you're losing it. Let's get into it. Let's start with something nobody says out loud. The resume is supposed to be a document of truth, your experience, your skills, your value. But what actually happens when you sit down to write one? You take 3 messy, complicated, real years of your life and you compress them. You pick the wins and delete the losses. You take credit for things that 10 people contributed to. You describe tasks you did once as if they were your core daily responsibility. Here's a real example. You attended weekly meetings with marketing, engineering, and product teams. You disagreed about priorities. Someone eventually made a call, and honestly, it wasn't even you. On the resume, collaborated with cross-functional teams to deliver strategic initiatives. You helped launch a feature. 3 other people actually built it. You wrote the project brief. On the resume, spearheaded product launch resulting in 40% user engagement increase. And here's the thing, you have to do this, because if you don't, Dana does, and Dana's resume gets the interview. So you either learn the language or you get filtered out before a single human ever reads your name. Here's where it gets even more mechanical. Most mid-size and large companies run applications through applicant tracking systems, ATS software, before any human being lays eyes on them. These systems scan for keywords. If the job description says Python and Python isn't somewhere on your resume, you don't get through. Doesn't matter if you could learn it in a week. Doesn't matter if you've built things more complex than anything Python would be used for at that company. No keyword, no interview. So what do people do? They add it. They list software they used twice, languages they're barely conversational in, frameworks they Googled their way through one afternoon. And because everyone does this, the skills section of almost every resume has become functionally meaningless. Your proficient is someone else's expert. There's no standard, no verification, just confidence and exaggeration competing to get past a robot. The hiring managers know this. They know resumes are inflated. They know the language is vague. They know you didn't single-handedly transform anything, but they still use resumes to filter candidates because they don't have a better system, so everyone pretends it works. You exaggerate a little, they assume you exaggerated a little, and the whole thing rolls forward.
Now, let's talk about something that trips people up constantly: employment gaps. If there's a gap in your work history, the resume system demands an explanation, but only certain explanations are acceptable. Pursued additional education, focused on family responsibilities, freelance consulting, those pass. But what if the truth is, I was completely burned out and needed 6 months to recover? Or I got laid off and it took longer than I expected to find something? Or even, I was going through something really hard and I wasn't okay for a while. You can't write that. Even though it's real, even though it's incredibly common. The resume has 0 tolerance for human difficulty. So people learn to manufacture consulting roles that barely existed. They stretch employment dates by a few months. They list part-time work as full-time, not because they're dishonest people, but because the system punishes anyone who stopped generating value for an employer for any reason at any point. Here's the deeper problem, and this is the part I want you to really sit with. Resumes don't measure the things that actually determine whether someone is good at their job. Do they stay calm under pressure? Can they admit when they're wrong? Do they make the people around them better? Can they navigate office politics without becoming toxic? Can they handle failure and come back stronger? None of that fits in a bullet point. So we've built an entire hiring system around a document that ignores the most important qualities a person can bring to a role. And then everyone acts surprised when the hire doesn't work out. Think about the kind of person who thrives in this system. Someone comfortable with self-promotion. Someone who can spin ordinary work into extraordinary-sounding achievements. Someone who has no problem taking personal credit for group efforts. That's a personality type. It's not a measure of competence, but the resume rewards it. So we end up selecting for people who are good at describing work instead of people who are good at doing it. I've seen this play out firsthand. Genuinely skilled, capable people whose resumes read like technical documentation, clear, accurate, completely unimpressive. Meanwhile, someone with half their ability writes a resume full of strategic framing and power verbs and walks straight into the interview. Not because they're better, because they understood the game. Here's the uncomfortable truth, and I'm going to be straight with you because that's what this channel is about. You play along strategically. The resume is not a truth document. It never was. It's a ticket, a filter. It exists to get you through the door so the real evaluation can begin, the interview, the first 90 days on the job. So you write for the filter. You use the keywords the software is scanning for. You translate your real work into resume language. You make your bullets impressive enough to survive the 15-second scan, but you make them verifiable. You attach real numbers when you have them. You describe things specifically enough that you can tell the true story when you're sitting across from someone in an interview. You don't lie about things that will get you caught in your first week on the job. Because the resume and the interview are playing two completely different games. The resume is about survival. The interview is about proof. And that's where most people get stuck. They think the resume is supposed to be honest, or they think exaggerating harder is the answer. It's neither. It's understanding that a ticket has its own language and rules, and learning to use that language without losing yourself in it. Prepare your context stories. When the interviewer asks about that bullet point that said you drove strategic alignment across stakeholder groups, have the real story ready. What actually happened, what you actually did, what the result actually was. That's how you turn resume language back into proof. So here's the reality of the resume system, plain and simple. It's a broken filter built around a format that was never designed to hold the truth of real human work. It rewards people who are good at packaging themselves over people who are good at doing the job. It punishes honesty, penalizes gaps, and ignores the qualities that actually determine success. And right now, today, it's still the game everyone has to play. So you learn the rules. You write for the robot and the 15-second scan. You translate your real work into the language the system understands. You close the gap between the resume version of you and the actual version of you. So when you walk in for that interview, you can back up every word. Because knowing the game is rigged doesn't mean you lose. It means you stop being surprised by the rules and start using them to your advantage. That's what Soluna versus the system is all about. If this video gave you a new way to look at your job search, smash that like button and subscribe. We drop new content every week on exactly this kind of stuff. And drop a comment. Have you ever felt like your resume was forcing you to be someone you're not? Tell me about it below. See you in the next one.